What is going on, boys and girls? This your pal right here, the one and only Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael Lee Sanders, coming at you with another kick-ass album review. As this go round, we're talking about AC/DC's 15th studio album titled Rock or Bust. It came out earlier this week. I've been listening to it multiple times, and I gotta tell you, man, this album, it totally kicks ass. This is probably gonna be like the shortest album review I've ever done to date. Normally I like to just dissect the album, talk about key tracks and all that good stuff, but when my job is this easy, I love it. Now look, this album was produced by Brendan O'Brien. That name should be very, very familiar to you guys, because this man, he's produced albums for Stone Temple Pilots, almost practically all their albums. He's produced albums for Rage Against the Machine, Audio Slave, Bruce Springsteen, just to name a few. I mean, he's got a very respected track record. I mean, when Brendan O'Brien's name is on an album, you see he has served as a producer. 9 times out of 10, that album is going to kick ass. Now, Brendan O'Brien, he comes back to produce AC/DC's newest album. As remember, last go round, he was involved on AC/DC's Black Ice, which was another album that totally had kicked ass. And I gotta tell you, some of us may be a little bit divided on this one, but I really felt that Rock or Bust, overall, despite the fact that it's under 35 minutes long, yes, the album is very short, clocks in at almost 35 minutes. It's like the shortest AC/DC album to date. It's shorter than the previous album that they did back in 1983, which was titled Flick of the Switch. But despite the fact that this Rock or Bust album is so short, it just kicks ass on every single track. I mean, I've been listening to it all week long, trying to figure out like what tracks really stood out to me the most, but I just can't do that because overall the album, and that's the thing, I couldn't find myself going back to one particular track or saying to myself, let me play this particular song again and again and again. It didn't happen like that. I just let the entire album continue to play. And I like when I get an album like that where I don't have to single out one particular track from an album. I can just let that album flow. I love a good album like that. I don't know if some of you all might have a pet peeve for that, but for me, I definitely do. Especially like maybe if I'm kicking back at work or whatever, or I'm enjoying a commute home. I don't really want to be flipping through the dials like that. I like to be able to just kick back and go, okay, I've got this playing. I don't have to worry about hitting the fast forward or rewind. I can just let it go and I'm gonna have fun. And that's exactly what this album does from beginning to end. If I could only find one gripe about this album, it's the fact that it was just so short and that I wanted more. Now, I know there's been a lot of discrepancies about what's been going on with regards to this album, as a lot of people are like, okay, well, does Malcolm Young have anything to do with this or doesn't he? I know we had one person that actually like went out of their way to try to find me out throughout various forms of social media to say Malcolm Young, he was given writer's credit for this album or for this track right here, Lee. And it's like, of course he's probably gonna get credit for one of the songs or many of the songs of this album. That's because the band's trying to look out for him. I mean, just kind of use common sense a little bit. And I'm not insulting some of you guys, so don't take what I just said the wrong way, but really break it down. The man's been with the band, I mean, practically since its inception, you know? So of course they're probably going to make sure that he gets a little something something as far as the royalties go. I mean, they're all a team, they're all a family, so of course they're probably gonna do that. I know if I was in my own rock band or just a band period, and I had been together with my bandmates for a long period of time and one of them had to bow out because of illness, yeah, I'm probably going to try to give that nod to them. I think anybody would. I mean, you got to be kind of cold and heartless to be like, oh well, he's not going to be involved in this album. Well, all right, well, we'll just take the writer's credit for ourselves. And no, I think that's just kind of messed up. But I like the interesting little tidbits that I have found out with regards to when this album had came across. Now, as a result of Malcolm Young, who bowed out of the band in 2014 for health reasons, it was, of course, later clarified by management that Malcolm was officially diagnosed with dementia and that he will possibly never play again as a result. Brian Johnson had admitted right before the album was officially released that making the album without Malcolm Young was definitely difficult, as at one point Malcolm had brought an idea for the name of the album titled Man Down, but they felt that was too negative given what was going on with Malcolm's ongoing health problems, so they just scratched that whole idea. Now, when you just check out Rolling Stone and All Music, everybody, I mean, for the most part, everybody's kind of showing a lot of love towards this album. And overall, I would have to say this is an album on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 being the highest. I give it a 9. My only gripe is that there wasn't enough ACDC. I've been waiting patiently. I wanted more, and that's my only gripe. It's unfortunate that right now the band's album is being overshadowed by what's going on with drummer Phil Rudd. In case you all had missed it, Phil Rudd was arrested for attempting to procure the murder of 2 men. ACDC, they would release a statement saying in part, and I quote, we have only become aware of Phil's arrest as the news was breaking. We have no further comment. Phil's absence will not affect the release of the new album, Rock or Bust, and upcoming tour next year. It is not clear whether Rudd will remain with the band or not, or who might be his replacement at this point. As afterwards, the following day after the procurement charge was brought against Rudd, it would be dropped the following day. However, the charges of possession of methamphetamine and possession of cannabis and a charge of threatening to kill remain. So there's no telling what's going on right now with Phil Rudd, and it's just unfortunate because it's probably 9 times out of 10 gonna kind of tarnish the release of this album, as more and more people are going to be more concerned about what's going on with Phil. But honestly, I was all fine AC/DC releasing this album with maybe the notion that this is their final album, this is probably going to be their big send-off and all that. But I think given what's been going on with Phil, all that, I definitely feel in my heart of hearts that we need to see one more album come about. And quite honestly, I would love to see Malcolm Young be part of that next album in any way possible. If it's a situation where they can only work with him on a part-time basis, maybe for at least half the album, I would accept that. But of course, at the same time, because I don't want to come off sounding selfish, because that's the last thing I'm trying to do is be selfish. My whole thing is if AC/DC is gonna say bon voyage, I think you gotta have Malcolm in there. But they really did a great job with this album, so I recommend you guys jump out there and go get it, check it out. Those of you that already have the album, I'd love to know what you thought about this album. Definitely share those comments by posting it down below. You can also interact with us on Twitter at the RCWR Show, or on Facebook at Infinity One Productions. That's Infinity One Productions. Make sure you put in the E, throw in the actual number 1, Infinity One Productions, to infinity and beyond, baby. If there is a album you'd love for me to consider for reviewing, post your comments, interact with us throughout social media, let me know. And if I feel it's on point, I'll definitely do my best to do a future review on it. And hey, if it's your first time checking us out, I'd love to have you subscribe to us so you never miss out on all the great content we do for you here on a weekly basis. And folks, that's pretty much gonna do it. If you like this, make sure you give it a thumbs up, share it a number of ways by Facebooking, Google Plusing, retweeting. Always one of the best ways you can spread a good word about our content. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and join our growing community of over 9,000 subscribers and counting, with over 5 million views and counting. We do a little bit of something for everybody, whether it's breaking news, doing some very fun and insightful interviews, or kicking on back, doing some reviews like what we're doing for you all right now. We got a little bit of something for everybody. So do hit that subscribe button. That's gonna do it. Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael Lee Sanders, wishing all of you all to be safe and most importantly be kind to one another. See you next go round. Everybody, take care.